Minister, first of all, thank you for your participation in today's edition of 360 Degrees. The question of forming the government here in Macedonia is now in the spotlight. It seems like that Social Democrats and the parties of the ethnic Albanians are on the course of forging an agreement for the government. But the question is now, how will VMRO-DPMNE respond to this? Still ruling party, after your yesterday's meeting with the leader Nikola Gruevski, has published a statement where it says that there are going to be tensions in the country if VMRO-DPMNE is not part of the government, and that the leadership of the party is under severe pressure from the membership of its own party.
Well, what happens between the parties is entirely up to them. I mean, I'm a British foreign minister, and the United Kingdom does not interfere in another country's politics, and we're not going to. The purpose of my visit, though, is to meet all the parties and talk to them and find out what's going on, but also to make it clear that the UK encourages and will help Macedonia, move forward with its reforms, with the manner in which it conducts itself in government, which we hope will eventually lead to membership of the European Union and NATO. So we're sort of with Macedonia on its journey, but we're not here to stick our nose in and tell the country what to do.
The forming of the Special Prosecutor's Office, this institution was formed to investigate the cases of illegal mass phone tapping, and also the cases of abuses of power and office that were mentioned in these phone conversations. How can Macedonia proceed if there is no clear investigation? Because we see that Special Prosecutor's Office has a lot of obstacles, especially from some institutions in the country.
Well, I think there does have to be a clear investigation, and I think it's got to be conducted transparently and conclusively, because only if it is will the credibility of the country, I think, be seen to be intact. So I think go ahead with this, it's got to happen, and do it in order to resolve and study the accusations that have been made.
We go back to the name issue. The name issue now it's not a priority like it was a couple of years ago. Do you see that this question can be resolved in near future? Are you optimistic? Because this is the main issue, main problem for Macedonia to become NATO member.
Well, I have to say, I have felt the strength of feeling there is about the name issue, and of course a resolution would be desirable, but this has got to be agreed between Macedonia and Greece. Again, if we can in any way help facilitate discussions which lead to an agreement, that would be great, but we don't have a fixed view which means that we're going to go and tell one side or the other side that it's got to be called this or called that. We'd love to see the two countries come together to resolve this issue so that it is no longer an obstacle to good cooperation between Greece and Macedonia, and indeed to Macedonia joining certain international organizations for which the solution is needed really on the name.
After the initial messages by Donald Trump of distancing himself from NATO, the latest statements that came from Vice President Pence and also Secretaries Tillerson and Mattis, and by the US President himself, are that it seems now that the administration also remains committed to NATO and transatlantic partnership. Do you see the future of this partnership and NATO bright?
Yes, I'm far more optimistic than perhaps I was, say, a month ago. And I was in Munich at the weekend, where Vice President Pence made an absolutely emphatic statement in support of NATO. The President's point is that people ought to pay their way, but that's not the same as saying that he wants to reduce American involvement in NATO, or that he attaches less significance to NATO than we'd like. So I'm confident that the new United States administration will fully appreciate and play its part in the significance of NATO, particularly for the security of this part of the world. And that's a good thing, and so does the UK, and we do pay our 2%.
After Brexit, is Britain still committed to Western Balkans, including Macedonia?
More so. We most certainly are. We are leaving the European Union, which is a sort of governmental club. We're not leaving Europe, and emphatically we are not in any way going to step back from the defence and security participation which we think matters so much to this part of the world. So, if anything, we're going to increase our attention to the Balkans. And in fact, we had a very important National Security Council meeting at the beginning of this week, which made the clear decision that we will increase our resources and our effort in this part of the world. So we're not going backwards. If anything, we're going forwards on all this.
Russia is trying to fill the partially void that was left by West here in the Balkans. And Moscow has been very vocal about the situation here in Macedonia, for which it points its finger towards West, towards the Western Alliance. How do you see this?
Well, this week I've also been to Montenegro, and the interference which I think we've witnessed there is unacceptable. So I think it's fair to say that you've really got to be alert to what any increased Russian influence would mean. I mean, I think by and large they are out for their own interests rather than the interests of the region, whereas we and NATO are here to serve your interests primarily. So if you want to be richer and freer, I would say look away from the Russians towards Europe. But if you want to be poorer, then go down the alternative route.
Thank you very much.